Hello and welcome back everyone to the hearUsout podcast produced by Urban Saints. We're glad that you've joined us again for another episode, and this one is a special one. Today we're going to be talking about the sound of change, using music to bridge the youth gaps. And we've got a special guest with us who goes by the name of Freedom. He's a Christian grime and rap artist, he's a youth worker, and recently selected for the Independent Icon category for QH Unsigned Awards. So congratulations to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And we're very blessed and privileged to have you on as a special guest. So yeah, we're excited to delve into a deeper conversation a bit later. But we've got our co-host Nesu. Do you want to remind us who you are, and you can take it away from there?
Hey, once again, yes, it's good to see you guys on our fourth episode of the podcast. My name is Nesu, as Paris has alluded to, and I'm the Youth Engagement and Content Coordinator at Urban Saints. I'm also excited for this podcast. And before we launch into the main segment of the pod, we're going to go ahead and do our show and tell, as we always do. So, Paris, do you want to go first?
All right, I'll go first. Today, it's another book. I've told you before that I'm an avid reader. And, it's a bit of a cliche book, this one. I think a lot of people have seen it, Atomic Habits by James Clear. But I've been picking this up more and more recently. And I've been enjoying it as I'm trying to form new habits, just reset a few things in my own life. I'm finding that this has some good practical tips. So I would definitely recommend Atomic Habits. Yeah, that's my one for this week. Am I going to nominate who's going next?
Yep.
Let's see. I think we should ask our special guest. Do you have anything to share with us for this episode?
I don't have anything to show, but I will
Okay.
share what I've been doing more recently. For some weird reason, I've just been having a lot of ginger shot. There's this specific brand called Cold Press, and it's XL, it's extra large. And I don't know if mentally it just helps when as part of my morning routine, when I'm heading to work, I pass by my local shop, grab that shot. It feels like, yes, the day started now. So yeah, that's just something that I've been doing more recently. So I thought I'd share that.
All right, love that. You're about your health and wellness. That's good. Nessie, what you got for us?
Yeah, before I say anything, I want to say, Atomic Habits is very popular. It's crazy how much you see it within the shops and like WH Smith and all that kind of stuff. So very popular. And I love me a ginger shot. I always get Pret has really good ginger shots. So I'm also hitting them up. With the turmeric shots as well. My show and tell, if you can see, is this. Come on. Listen, this is actually an investment in summer when because the sun comes out. I don't know if you guys find this, but the sun comes out earlier. And so for me, I wake up instantly when I see the light. So I'm like, no, we've got to black it out. Do you know what I mean? And this right here does the business. I'm telling you, complete blackout, good for sleep. So this is my sleep mask. This is your get ready for summer prep and toolkit. This is it. So that's my show.
Nice. Nice one. Interesting.
Fab. Okay, well, we're going to move on into the main segment of the pod today, and we want to hear a lot about what Freedom has to say today and how we can use some of the things that God has given us in our youth ministry and work with young people. So, Freedom, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and the work that you do?
Yeah, sure. So, my name is Trace Lenger, also known as Freedom. So, yes, I am a Christian rap artist, youth worker. In fact, this is 10 years as a Christian rap artist. I released my project 10 years ago, so it's quite a landmark year for me. And also 5 years as a youth worker now. I was born in Congo. My story in short, I struggled and had a very difficult upbringing as a child, struggling with witchcraft and also life of criminality when I came to the UK. Jesus showed up when I was 20 years old in a way that I can never deny. And ever since then, I've just dedicated my life to serving people, and especially young people, through my music and creativity and just my faith. So that's been my journey so far. And it's been just incredible to see where God can take you from and to. So we are on the journey together.
That's great. And as you said, 10 years is a real milestone. So again, congratulations.
Thank you.
And it's fantastic that you've been doing so well for so long, and you're having quite an impact. So we're excited to find out a bit more about that impact. But yeah, you're a music artist, and Nessa and I, we both love music, so it's great to have someone that also shares that same passion. But for you then, how have you found that music's kind of helped you to relate to the young people that you work with? You've been doing youth work for 5 years, so I'm sure they're familiar with what you do creatively, and I guess that kind of flows through some of the conversations you have. So yeah, how does that help you to relate to the young people that you're around?
Yeah, I think like initially they just take into the fact that, oh, this is a sick talent. Like they don't
Mm,
sometimes expect like all youth worker to get them in that sense. So
mm,
to be able to just express the love for music that we share with the young people as well that we work with is just an interesting space to start with. And then you see the impact of it as well, because they follow up with conversation about they
mm,
feel that they can relate with you a bit more because you understand what they like. So then we'll start talking about the drill scene, and then we might talk about the content and the difference between what I'm doing and the content that they're taking in, and just start to sow and build
mm,
seeds in that way. What I find is yeah, music just breaks the barriers really, and it
Mm.
can really relate to different cultures. So that's one thing that I always take. So recently, I saw the impact of that again. Like there's so many stories, but I wanted to share this one in particular because it was just like so different. I was out in Scotland, and I saw the impact of music with this specific young person. He was so quiet at the beginning, but then he got involved. Then after he wanted to talk to us, like, and he wanted to find out more about what I was saying, he's picking up certain lyrics, and then we started to talk about faith in the midst of that, sharing my testimony. The guy even brought a chair and sat down. It was just like, right, this guy is really like just like a sponge taken in, and he's listening. And we were trying to connect him to church for the first time. I think he went when he was younger, but then he hasn't been for a while. So we were trying to connect him to a local church through that. Then after through the conversation, he took a liking to my cross. I had a little cross on me, and he said that he always wanted one. So I just gave it to him, like not
oh,
really thinking
nice.
much about it. I just said, you know what, take this, hold it. He was really touched by that. Then the next day I happened to be at his school and doing like an assembly, and through like stories and testimonies, one of the songs really touched him. He was really holding the cross up high like this, and I was just like, Rod, do you know what kind of bold declaration you're making? So it's
Yeah.
just like through the music you can see like every the step of the journey the young people can take just by listening and enjoying themselves, and then to being intrigued and wanting to know more about Jesus, to actually now making a declaration, because now he's listening to Alpha. He's doing an Alpha course right now, so he's on his journey now. So there's just a lot of stories like that where we work with young people through music, and then now they're exploring faith, or they're coming back to me, sending me messages online, telling me, "Oh, I don't want to do the life that I'm living anymore. I heard your story, and I'm considering faith." So yeah, there's just a real impact that we see with music, really.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean that is a special story. I think the good thing about the power of music is that, sometimes we might not have the words to express how we feel or the things that we're going through. So we find points of connection through music. And
Yeah.
then obviously that opens up many more conversations. So yeah, that's a special story. And I'll keep that young person in our prayers. And like,
Yes,
we
please.
hope that he'll continue in his faith journey. And I think that's fantastic that through music, you've been able to kind of open up that door for him. Yeah.
Mm.
What
Yeah.
do you think,
Yeah.
Nesu?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fascinating what you're saying, that that sometimes they resonate with the songs and the stuff that we're creating, or that's available in creation, the various mediums through which God can be communicated. I think of a Bible verse that says creation declares the glory of God. And even music, whether it's painting or anything like that, or anything artistic or creative, has a way, or has the power to be able to just declare the glory of God in different ways.
Mm.
It's interesting because even at this, like there's an article by a man called a youth worker, youth practitioner, a great leader called Martin Saunders, who is head of or director of the Satellites Youth Camp run by Youthscape, and he wrote an article in 2021 called God's masterpiece, why you think you're more creative, or why you're more creative than you think, rather. And he talks about the idea that God by nature, that's one of the first characteristics we discover about God at the beginning of creation, that he's a creative. He creates stuff and we're made in his image. So it's not unfathomable that we would also want to create, and that there's ways that what we create can declare the glory of God. So, I mean, I really resonate with what you're saying in terms of this is the impact it can have. And it's a wonderful story. I think of how you were so, I wonder what it would have meant for that young person at that time to be able to say, oh, you know, I was just talking to this guy and he just gave me his cross. And even that was just being attentive, you know, to what God was trying to do through you. So it's a fascinating way that God is using your music and your creative ability to reach young people. So it's really, really incredible and interesting. Yeah.
I think on that as well, I also watched your BBC Sunday morning performance when you performed He Reigns. And I think, you know, as a youth worker, but also a musician, being able to have those types of opportunities to go on those platforms that young people can see, like, oh, this guy that works at my youth group, like he's made it, kind of thing. He's on these bigger platforms and he's being bold in his faith. What's it kind of like having those kind of opportunities and knowing that your young people might be tuning in and keeping tabs on you online and through other different types of media?
Yeah, it's inspiring, definitely, because I know some of the youth workers that I work with, they won't even allow the young people to see them online, and of course there's like some safeguarding implication, but then there's also just like that sometimes the life is not what they want the young people to see, but God has allowed me to just be able to be a positive role model in all accounts, not just through music, through my lifestyle. So just seeing them being inspired or saying, oh, you were on TV, like for them it's a huge thing. And we even shared a moment together during club, because we do faith sharing during my club time. So as part of my faith sharing, I just shared that video with them, and it was just very positive, like the way they reacted. It brings them more, it makes it real for them. It's like you're practicing what you're preaching. You're letting them know that you can actually achieve those things. You can go for it, you know, and for them to see it in a practical way, it's just something really inspiring for the young people.
Yeah. And do you think like the young people that you talk to have become more confident in maybe sharing their faith and just being a bit bolder, like through seeing you and how you're kind of displaying Christ and your belief online and things like that?
Yeah, definitely. There's some young people that come from Christian backgrounds, and sometimes they don't know if they can express their faith freely in like a youth club context. But knowing that they have youth workers like myself who are expressing their faith, and we kind of tag team sometimes. We just work together so that they can feel more confident in sharing their faith. And then all of a sudden, we're talking about God with people that have no faith or of different faiths, and the young people feel empowered to do that because of the space that we are creating. So yeah, we are seeing that, and we are seeing responses as well of young people just saying, okay, like, let me explore this, because sometimes in our youth space we have scriptures, and then a young person might pick that up and start asking question about it, and it might lead to even praying the sinner's prayer, for example. Just little things like that. We are seeing young people responding in that way. So yeah, it's good.
Okay, cool.
Fascinating. That is, fascinating. Some of the stuff and the ways that God can use things that perhaps sometimes are peripheral to our ministry and we don't think are the integral things. But yeah, fascinating. I mean, so, you know, you've been doing this for quite some time, right? And using your gifts in this way and having that exposure and that access to be able to, just channel all that God has given you into youth spaces. My question to you, Freedom, is how can we use the gifts God has given us as an extra kind of tool to be able to reach young people and in youth ministry more broadly? How do you think we can position ourselves as those who work with young people, as youth work practitioners and the like?
Yeah, 100%. Recently we had a training about how we to deliver faith within our youth space, and one thing that came about was even if we like did acrobatics, and we like me, I have a talent by God's grace, and I constantly use my talent. Ultimately, it's just about like giving people Jesus, and you need to have that for yourself, and through that it will trickle out. And this morning when I was like just reflecting on the talents, and he led me to the parable of the talent. Essentially is given to be used, you know,
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
there for it to be operating. Is you being
Mm,
yourself, is not necessarily like I'm having to pick this up so I can be cool, so I can be this person. No, this is
mm,
who you are, and you're just expressing what God has already given you. And it's sort of like icebreakers, really. It's just like a
yeah.
social tools, and is what God has given you to allow young people to come into your space, and through their conversations are happening. It can be cooking. You're cooking in the kitchen with a bunch of young people, and all of a sudden you're giving them advice because they're talking about relationships, and that leads to scripture and teaching. So
Yeah.
those talents are part of like your life, and they are to be operated within the context of your work, because you know it's not is we're not robots, you know, human beings.
Mm,
So
Mm.
yeah.
essentially is like just be yourself, and
Mm,
the most important thing you can do is just consistently turn up, and be willing, and be
Yeah.
willing. And that because that's what I find as well. Sometimes when I'm tired, and I'm looking for ways to be more creative and engage with young people, and it can be tiring sometimes, as a youth worker, to do that week on week on week on week. But what I find is when I'm just putting myself in a space of like, Lord, I'm just willing. What can we do? What can we do today, Lord? I always find I get something. It might be the littlest thing, but then God does an amazing thing just because I decided to put myself in that position, and God shows up. So yeah, I think I just use what you got, whatever God has given
mm,
you, use it, and let young people come into that space while you're using it, and then let it flow from there, really.
Yeah,
mm,
I think that's encouraging as well. Like, even when we're tired, when we're weak, it's not necessarily about what we do through our own strength. Like you said, like God can
mm,
use the
Mm,
littlest things. We're relying on a higher power essentially to keep pouring out what we have to the young people. And I think as well, like going back to your talents, it's not like you have to keep them separate. You find a way for your
mm,
talents to flow into what you're doing and to find different points of connections. And I think, when you have a group of youth workers working together, we all have different talents. We'll all be able to relate to different young people in different ways. So, for example, for you, your talent is quite out there. It's quite expressive. But for other people, maybe their talent isn't expressed in the same way. And maybe there's a young
mm,
person that kind of also has that similar temperament, or
mm,
just that level of outgoingness expression. So I think it's encouragement for us that we can all find some level to kind of use our talents to connect
mm,
with the young people. So I think that's a great point. Yeah.
yeah. That I mean, yeah, what you were saying, feed them about the fact that they're given to be used.
mm,
In the article that I mentioned, and the link's going to be in the sort of bio or underneath the video. But it talks about the idea that in Exodus chapter 31, we've got a guy called Bezalel, who God says, I've given him the spirit of wisdom and understanding and all that kind of stuff to be a master in every craft. He's
mm,
got the gift to do these kind of things. He's a creative. He specializes in certain things. And as you say, Paris, we don't always, not everyone has the same kind of disposition or the same kind of gifting, but there are things that God has put in our hands to be able to serve the young people. And sometimes it is a bit like that parable where Jesus or that story where Jesus feeds the 4,000 or 5,000, and it's
mm,
like, we look and he's like, feed them. Ironically, your name is feed
Yeah.
them. But it's like God saying, hey, the disciples come and say, hey, look, send these people home.
mm,
We're tired. We can't give them food. They need to go home. And Jesus says, you feed them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they come and they're like, okay, what do we have? One of the stories talks about,
mm,
just a couple of fish and a couple of things that we have in our hands, bread and all that kind of stuff. And he multiplies it, and it feeds the people. So yeah, it's fascinating what God can do with what we have in our hands. And there's another point that I just wanted to make in terms of, this idea of there's a sort of conformist perspective that sometimes young people grow up with. Sometimes you grow up in a household that says this is the way, this is what you need to do. You need to do mainstream education, you need to do this is how you're going to make it in life. This is what's comfortable, convenient,
mm,
and conformist. But sometimes young people are gifted with creative abilities and non-conventional career paths. So by us sharing the things that God has given us, it gives them space to dream about what I can be and what I can do that may not be conventional. You know what I mean? That may not be mainstream. Yeah, it's I'm thinking of a time where recently I was with some young people, and for the first time I knew some of them wanted to sing and all this kind of stuff, and I just said, hey guys, let's write a song. So I play the cajon, I'm doing the cajon, I'm playing a bit of keys, and one of them, who rarely talks, right, she comes, joins, and then starts like songwriting. She's the one who's coming up with the lyrics. I'm thinking, where is this coming from? I've known you for 2 years. You've never said, you know what I mean? You're very quiet and all that kind of stuff. But now she's a songwriter all of a sudden, because that avenue was opened up to her, you know? And so I think, yeah, it is giving them a space to dream and a space to be all that God has created them to be. And honestly, I think sometimes we quench the spirit. We quench the spirit by not allowing young people to be what they were created to be. We say, oh, it's a hobby, it's an interest. It's not something that you can actually do, you know, as a livelihood and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, just so encouraging to see what God is doing through your life and what we can do as people with stuff in our hands, whether that be writing, painting, singing, dancing, to be able to communicate and share the gospel with young people.
Yeah, and I think like you're in a good position because like you're around young people and you probably see things within them that they don't see for themselves, but you know, you're able to kind of nurture and bring that out of them, which I think is great. So yeah, I definitely encourage you to keep doing what you're doing. And lastly, also I want to ask, so for any young people that are maybe interested in music and kind of feel like, oh, maybe I want to share my faith through music, but am I going to be well received? Like, what advice would you give to them that want to pursue music but also be bold in their faith? What advice would you want to give?
Yeah, that's really encouraging, that one, to be honest, because it can be a bit of a difficult spot, because I remember myself when I came to faith, I just had this passion to share and I had this talent, and I was thinking, can I do it? Can I not do it? First of all, you need to know that every good thing comes from God. So it's a God thing. God has given you that. You can do it, and let that passion come out. You know, just you can start small if you want to start with your friends, people that you trust. Share that with them. You never know what would happen. Because for me, the reason why I really started doing Christian rap is because I shared my testimony through song to a friend of mine, and I saw the impact. He wanted to go church. He wanted to explore faith with me through that very heartfelt testimonies type of song. So it's just about being bold in sharing that, and by God's grace, may He connect you with the right people around you, because you always need people that can pray into you, that can mentor you and help you to like grow in your gifting. So my encouragement is practice it and be connected to local church, and by God's grace is the right people around you that will really just help nurture that.
Okay, good advice. And have you got any exciting projects or things that our viewers should kind of keep a lookout for what you're doing? Anything coming up?
Yeah, definitely. So I've got a lot more music coming this year. Like I said, it's 10 years anniversary. So definitely looking to do some event here in London towards September. So it's going to be like my headline show, and I'm going to be putting that out on my social media. But to be connected with what I'm doing, if you just go on my website, which is www.freedomartist.com, you'll be up to date with everything. So a lot of music and a headline show coming towards the end of the year.
Nice, love that. Okay, well, we'll put Freedom's links and all his contact information in the bio and show notes, so you can keep up to date with what he's doing. You don't want to miss the new music that he drops, so be sure to look out for that. But yeah, we just want to thank you for coming on, being a guest, chatting with us, and just sharing some inspiring stories and encouragement. We're really happy to have you on and to hear about all the good things that you've been doing throughout the years that you've been serving and ministering through music. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and if you guys would like to continue on this journey with us, you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. There's many more conversations to come, many more amazing guests with more inspiring stories. So thank you for joining us. Thank you, Freedom, and thank you, Nesu. See you next time. Bye.
See you next.